very basic points. First of all, the collaborative learning is the practice of students working collectively to solve problems, creating a dynamic environment of shared knowledge and skills. Also is a learner-driven approach that fosters a social interactive classroom ecosystem to enhance students' communication, negotiation, feedback, and problem-solving skills. Moreover, the collaborative environments encourage students' engagement and active participation, which lead to deeper understanding, critical thinking, knowledge retention, and the development of important self-management and leadership skills. As you can understand for the first slide is that the collaborative learning puts on the focus on the center the team, the team not the teacher, the trainer, but the team, the learners. Not one learner, all the learners as a team. They work together in order to find the answer to a question, to create a paper, a project inside the classroom. But all they have a role. This is the most important thing and the main aspect of collaborative learning. Everyone has a role from the learners and work together in order to find the solutions or to obtain the knowledge. What is the importance of the collaborative learning? As we said, is the practice of working collectively to solve problems, creating a dynamic environment, and share knowledge and skills. Just a minute. And also, this learning-driven approach is, as I said before, the social interactive communication classroom to enhance student communication, negotiation, feedback. It's not that the one student learner is alone with the books or the notes in order to give the exams. Work together. Everyone learns from each other. So this is very important because each student can solve the other students' problems and some questions that many of the learners, as most of you, they know, it's very difficult to ask the trainer about uh, to ask about some problems they have because maybe they feel stupid that they make stupid questions or something like that. But it's easier to learn and to interact with other learners. So many gaps, knowledge gaps that the most of the learners, they do not ask the trainer are fields, these gaps, those gaps from other learners. And also the collaborative environments encourage student engagement and active participation, which lead to deeper understanding, critical thinking, and the development of important self-management and leadership skills. The most important thing about the collaborative learning is not that I learn the curriculum and the training content that I have to learn to the students, is also that's the improvement, the development of soft skills that they are very important at these days, and especially in self-management and also leadership skills, but not mostly because you know the dynamics that they creating inside a group of collaborative learning. Okay, someone may have a more leader part in this how the team is working, but not so many leadership skills, but mostly important self-management skills, which is very important at these days for the students and the young people. Now, more specifically, I want to discuss the benefits of the collaborative learning. And after this presentation, I have another presentation based on the experience of my organization with a specific method, a specific approach about the collaborative learning. So the first benefit of collaborative learning is the development of self-management and leadership skills. I started when I end in the previous slide. What is exactly that? Is when individuals are tasked with working together to achieve a common goal, they are allowed to develop high-level skills. Also, while having to organize, assign, teach, they are learning how to manage both themselves and others while leading productively, which is very important to learn working in groups, especially in the next steps of your life. After that, in the work in labor market, etc., etc. Even in your household, it's very important to learn how to work in groups, how to work and be productive inside groups. The second benefit is that especially in the higher education and in the vet sector, that increases employee skills and knowledge. Especially when employees as learners they participate in collaborative learning, they develop a wide range of skills and knowledge. Not only they strengthen the existing skills but by having to each others, but they in turn will learn new skills from other employees. So you can see that as in the classroom, also in vocational education and about adult education, the learners, they create an ecosystem that everyone solves the questions of the other. They solve questions, they find solutions. So it's how to put it that you don't have only one trainer. Everyone inside the classroom is a trainer. Everyone inside the classroom solve questions. So it's a very helpful way to be collectively solve questions and try to enhance some capabilities of the learners. Also, this reduces the need for formal training while encouraging employees to upskill in known concept and engage with new concept continually. I will take some time to discuss this, is that the formal training, we do not understand that exactly, but because maybe we are a little bit old, the formal training is not as efficient was even 10 years before. Is not is not it has not the same results. We have to bring informal trainings, informal ways of education, which they keep the focus of the student, because the attention span of the main student, of the main learner at these days, it's far less than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. In some researches, they're talking about that even the attention span of the main student right now is about to 5 to 15 minutes. So,
والجوز الركاب الأعزاء تمشيا مع تعليمات وزارة النقل والمواصلات
may close up your microphones, please.
Okay, George, you can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I make mute for all because I don't reach to the person who has the voice.
Okay. I totally understand.
Thank you.
As I said before, is about the mentality of the new students, of the new learners, that they have a low attention span, and the informal trainings. Just a minute, because I pass. Yes. The informal trainings and like collaborative learning, it helps the new students in order to keep their attention span and their focus. Because trust me, most of the students, especially in the ages of 15 to 25 years old, when they have spent all their life in front of a screen with a content that it is very short, it is changing very rapidly. Maybe you do not have their focus for too many long time. And the collaborative learning is very helpful, because when you have too many things to collaborate and to learn at the same time is like, give or take, it's like the screen, like the digital thing. You have too many um, inputs from too many students and learners that it helps you to keep your focus. You don't have one thing to just keep seats and listening one guy, one trainer talking about too many long time. Also, third, very, very important, that improves relationship across teams and classrooms. Very, very important. Especially, you will see before in the third point, when individuals have limited contact across teams, it's difficult to create connections and teamwork. Collaborative learning across teams forces individuals to connect to each other, to collaborate to each other, and find ways to work together, find ways to communicate together, and even though to solve conflicts inside the classrooms. Because when you put two parts that they are in a conflict to find a solution in a very, very strict content, in a very, very strict way, you can create bridges. You can find ways that they can solve the conflicts. And it's especially beneficially for organizations that have remote learners, as fostering strong connections among distant learners can be difficult. That was a big lesson during the pandemic. During the pandemic, that we had to use mostly um, digital means, and we had all the learners were distant. The collaborative learning was very helpful because when you split the learners in groups or in all the classroom is a room, they have to open their cameras, they have to open the microphone, so it's very difficult that they have closed the camera in the microphone and they don't even listen to you. They have to open the camera and the microphone open. They have to discuss with the other learners, so they are focused and their interests and they are active. And it is very important in distant learning. Very, very important. Another benefit of collaborative learning is that improves knowledge acquisition and retention. We mentioned that before. Studies have shown that utilizing collaborative learning may increase involvement and better retention of knowledge. My opinion is that the retention of knowledge is achieved, or involvement, okay, I understand, it's pretty easy to understand why increased involvement, but the retention of knowledge, why? Because is what I said before. The learners ask about questions. So when we are 5 learners inside the classroom and one learner asks something, I can say something. I use my knowledge. At the same time, I use my knowledge to a question that I didn't have. I answer one part of the question, another learner asks another part. So I learn. And also I learned something that they didn't know that I needed. And when you have this loop that many learners, they ask questions, and many learners, they answer those questions, you have that, you keep things that you learned, you keep um, you keep using them, so you don't forget them, so you can you can achieve the retention of knowledge. Also, the process of collaborative learning allows participants to achieve high levels of thought, and the information is retained much longer than they learned in a non-collaborative setting. Is what I said before, but in another words. And also, it's very important that, how to put it, the high level of thought is that they ask a question. Trainers, they do not ask questions. The learners ask questions. So I'm getting in a mentality that I am the trainer. So I have to deliver and I have to express my knowledge in a different ways than that I have in my mind. Okay, so I see it in a more, my perspective is expanded. So this, I gain a high level of thought. I can see the same thing, but in a different way. Also about our experience in the labor markets by our vocational training is that it improves employee retention and promotes workplace engagement. Employees who are allowed to learn new skills tend to be more satisfied in their work and are less likely to seek out other opportunities. And also satisfied employees are more productive and will engage in their work, leading to increased efficient output. It is very important that in order, to connect the labor market with education systems is that to give the mentality to the learners that they're gonna be employees. So through the collaborative learning, first of all, as we mentioned before, they learn to work together. So when after that they will go to work somewhere in the labor market, it will be more easier to adapt in this new environment and to work together, because many new learners after they finalize even in a vet or in a university, it's very difficult to make the transition to from the classroom to a work environment. It's very difficult, but when you have learned to collaborate in the context of the classroom, it doesn't matter. It's also a context with many parts, as it is the work environment. It is more easier to learn. It is more easier to cooperate and adapt also later to the labor market. And also, when you have another important aspect about this is when you have learned also not only to cooperate with others, etc., but also to learn from others. It will be far more easier when you go to the labor market, not only to collaborate with your colleagues, but also to learn from them, which is very important in order to achieve better high recruitment and retention, and by extent, the interconnection of the educational institutions and the labor market. That was my first slide. That was my first slide. Thank you very much for your attention. And now, before I'm going to the second, which is more about approaches, educational approaches in the collaborative learning, I would like to make a small discussion. I don't want to bomb you with information. If you have any questions, if you want to discuss something for a small time in order, to go to the other slide. If you have any questions, something like.
Are there any questions?
Hassan raised his hands.
Yeah. Hi, Yorgos. Kalimera.
Kalimera.
I think what you have presented is a very good example for the workplace or for employees, more or less. How could you put that into context for the student collaborative learning? I mean, because we want to have students to collaborate while learning. Of course, what you have presented is a very good example for the work environment for employees to collaborate among themselves. But how could you put that in context for students? Thank you.
You mean approaches inside the classroom?
Yeah, for the students, particularly for students. For students, not employees, for example.
Yes. The best the best approach, you will see my next slide, because I don't have a lot of time. I will be based in e-learning context. But inside the classroom, the best thing is that also a very, very important disclaimer, depends on the size of the classroom. If you have in the university, in my university, for example, we have classrooms with 150 students, but also we have classrooms with 15 students. In the big classrooms, when you have 3 digits of learners, you have to create working groups, to break down your working groups. So depends of what you want to achieve. The best scenario for me is groups of 10. If you can make them smaller, smaller. And after you have created, you have the working groups, then not exactly project-based learning is not exactly that, but it's very similar, that you give them a task and then you divide the roles. So for example, you have 3 learners and you want from them to ask a question. So you can you can divide the roles as the one is the researcher. The other one is that the coordinates the time management, for example. Another part is the reference part, in order to create your paper or something like that. And keep going. You create the groups and divide the roles. So why you divide the roles? Because everyone has to be active. If you do not divide the roles, then you go to the loop of the collaborative learning, which is the leadership. Me, because I'm more ambitious, because I have some leadership skills that they have developed from my house, I will be in front of the others in my group, and I will say, okay, you will do this, you will do the other thing, or maybe I will do everything. So the collaborative learning is not so efficient. So the most important thing inside the classroom for learners is that everyone inside the group has a role, has something to do, something specific, most likely. Okay, it's not possible in every times, but everyone has something to do, something minor, something major, it doesn't matter, but has a role. So it has something to say, and it is taken into account from the others inside the group. I don't know if I cover you by my answer.
Yeah, thank you. So you could say the benefits for employees are more or less the same benefits for students of collaborative learning. Yeah,
Yes,
that's in
because
conclusion. Yeah.
yes. Also, Dr. Murad has raised his hand.
Kalimera, George. Mesa abutin kardiamu sasagabo taola kit Greece. Good morning.
Salam alaikum. Salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Dr. Murad want to practice his language within 20, more than 20 years.
We are going to practice Greek and Arabic at the same time.
Yes.
Okay. I want to ask, you know that collaborative learning, it's maybe a social approach, or it's a holistic approach that everyone has his role in the when he achieves his tasks. But a day which we use the technology, we see that this is this issue is maybe something absence, not face to face with the task inside the class. So how can we stress on the collaborative learning that it's maybe different from a group learning? There's many difference between teamwork and group work, because you know that the teamwork, that everyone has achieved his role or his tasks. I want from you to stress on how to evaluate or how to assess the role of each one inside the collaborative learning, especially in the TVET issues, if you please. Thank you.
How to put it? If I'm correct, if I understand correctly, it's the difference collaborative with cooperative learning. How to put it? Collaborative learning is more like diving and finding things all together, with everyone has a part. And cooperative learning, the group context that you mentioned is how to put it is like following the map. You want to go somewhere with your group, and you're following a map. And the map is holding from one guy, and the other one is just helpful. They help the map guy in order to guide them. The collaborative learning is not like that. Is how to put it is that everyone has a part of the map. So we have together to bring together the parts of the map and make a collaborative effort in order to achieve our objectives. I don't know if I answered or make it more complex.
Okay, okay.
Oh,
I think George, you bring your and you present about the collaborative learning from the business model or from the business area or from for the workers. But we can benefit from this for our groups who will develop the courses in order to know the principles of collaborative learning, which is different from cooperative learning. Just because collaborative learning depends on the dependent role that each one from the participants in the group had to depend on the other, because all of the group need to know the capacity and the capability for each of them, in which skills each of them is high skilled, in order to use it very well or utilize his skills in developing the work. This is the benefit from using collaborative working. And as you know, in the business model that we use it for the storyboard, you need to use the group work. Sometimes small groups, sometimes Mediterranean groups, sometimes large groups, and this depends on the idea or on the project. And why this is also very important to start with this type of learning, which is the collaborative learning, because the project-based learning use the collaborative learning sometimes. Then all the approaches that we will use it here in this paradigm depend and complete each other's.
I want mostly to, because I didn't know about what you know or not, each of you about the collaborative learning. I want to keep it simple for this first time in this training, just the main aspects, and then in a second round we can expand in specific methods, because if you do not have understand how it works on his core, the collaborative learning on its core, as the essential aspects of the collaborative learning, I think that I will just give you methods that you know exactly what you want to achieve. This is why I constantly I'm telling the same thing about the mentality of the collaborative learning, especially in a classroom. Okay, it doesn't matter if it is online or it is on site. The most aspect thing in order to achieve the collaboration is from all the students, because the main objective, the main aim of the collaborative learning is that everyone is involved, everyone is active inside the classroom. Okay, so and everyone interacts and learns. In order to achieve that, everyone has to have a purpose inside the process, to have a part, to have a role. Okay, without that, you exclude some of the learners, or maybe interrupts the process because some of the learners, because they have better communication skills or better leadership skills. We are not all born and raised as leaders. It can interrupt the process, and some of the learners choose to take to be at the side and not interact or not cooperate at all. So I keep telling that when you create collaborative learning, it doesn't matter if you do it project-based. It doesn't matter if you do it with a more formal way or informal way. It doesn't matter that. This is the second level. The first level is to understand that in the collaboration, the allocation of work, the allocation of tasks, the allocation of responsibilities inside the group, or the workload, the allocation of workload inside the group, in order to put them in the collaboration mode, it has to be divided. The best case scenario, ideally, divided equally to all. Maybe in some cases this is not possible. So you try to divide in everyone important parts. So, for example, if I'm collaborating with you, Nuha, I cannot skip you because your part is not so important. I'm forced to collaborate with you, to discuss with you, to solve your questions, to solve my questions, and find a way to solve things and to work together. Because if your task is minor, I cannot skip you. I can skip you. I can skip you and cooperate with Hassan and find a solution together. But
George,
if we all have some important parts inside the process, no one can skip anyone. So all together we have to collaborate. And also, because collaborative learning is also, by my opinion, also to find consequences. What I mean by that is that to feel responsible, because when I work in a group, it's not like I'm alone. If I fail, I fail. I will lay down the rest of the group. So I have to be responsible. Another soft skill, very important, responsibility. I have to be responsible. So I am forced to cooperate with you and find a solution and find a result. Which maybe it's one of the most important aspects. Please.
what I have want to mention, George, that 1 plus 1 not equal the parts, the summation of the parts not equal the total or the total number. Because when we are working as a team, a group, everyone or each individual has his role. But when they are exchange their experience and their the accountability and so on, so we succeed as a whole or we failed as a whole, as a
Exactly.
community. That's what I wanted to mention or to concentrate on. Thank you.
Exactly. And another aspect that I forgot to mention is that as I said before, you cannot, maybe in most of the times, you cannot divide the allocation of tasks, of roles inside a group in a collaborative learning with the same way. So the best scenario, the best approach, by my opinion, is that you keep changing the roles. So, for example, you are forced to have specific roles. You make a rotation. It's not that the same learner will have the same role in every time. He will have different roles each of the round, each of the times, different roles. So you learn new things, new aspects, because I will give an example. Inside the group, you have dynamics. This is one of the greatest challenges in collaborative learning. You have dynamics, especially in the classrooms when people are younger. In order to face these dynamics, you have to put the one to the shoes of the other. So when I will understand my colleague or my fellow learner next to me, and when you see that this is very common, that many of in the collaborative learning, when you have more coordination tasks or more leader tasks, many students, many learners avoid them. Avoid leadership, avoid responsibility. This is very, very common. Very common. They are afraid to take obligations, they are afraid to take responsibilities. If you ask me, I bomb them. When I see that a student, learner, it's very difficult to take initiatives, to take responsibilities, I will try to give him or her step by step more responsibilities. And with this rotation, everyone has their roles, has seen how the group works from all aspects. This is also very important. Because this is very, very important, I will go back to the business part, also to the labor market, to understand how the group works, how the classroom works, how a business works from as many possible aspects, as many aspects as possible. Because you have a perspective that which is more holistic, and you can understand better things. I can understand Ghassan, which is a fellow learner in a different aspect, or a colleague in a different sector. I can understand him. If I can understand him, I can collaborate with him. I can communicate with him and achieve things, especially in the classroom. I don't know if I cover you because I don't have a lot of time. I have, I think, 15 minutes more. I prefer this conversation because my other slides is a slide from older project from other project we have about collaborative learning. We have made a very good work, and but those materials I can give them to you, so you can read them. Is more technicals about approaches, but I think this conversation is more important in order to understand holistically how the collaborative learning it works. I don't know if you have to say something to put. If not, I can proceed with the slides for the next 15 minutes about okay. So, this is a work of my organization from a previous project about collaborative learning. And this specifically because I think it is it is the biggest challenge, that one, in order, to understand better the digital aspect of a classroom, of an inclusive and collaborative classroom and learning. Um, I will not get the details. The details I can send it to you, and we will have, I believe, we will have new chances to discuss all these things. Probably I will give you an overview and the main concept and characteristics of collaborative and inclusive e-class environment, because this is more challenge, I think. So let me pass. This is also the main aspects, as you can see. As we said before, that encourage students to become aware of individual abilities of group members, respect differences, which is very important. Is I mentioned that before about the responsibility and the feeling of the other, and also to respect the very important to respect differences in personality, which is create a more inclusive a more inclusive educational environment. I will give you, for example, some examples of collaborative learning, which is the project-based group discussions, as we do right here, peer-to-peer learning, role-play activities, competitive games, and information exchange. The information exchange.
George, can you make like show to present?
Just a minute.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So here we have some examples of collaborative learning. Project base is going to discuss later, so I will not say anything. Group discussions is that we did before. We have a specific aspect and we discuss about that. The most tricky part about the group discussions is that learners are discussing, so they have some gaps in their knowledge. So there the trainer has to fill the gaps. The trainer has to solve some questions, to be a coordinator of the discussion, but no very active. Peer-to-peer learning is when peers are learning each other. So, for example, the peer-to-peer learning is a method that I'm a learner, and the trainer knows that, or he has given me as an assignment to prepare something. Okay, and then I will try to prepare it to another learner of me, or to the rest of the classroom, or to the rest of the group. Depends. Then something that I learned, I try to learn to my fellow learners, and I have also feedback, which is very good also for some to create, to develop some skills like public speaking, the peer-to-peer learning. Role play activities is activities that you want, let's say, to create a simulation of a of a working environment. So inside the classroom, let's say that you make a software development classroom, you create a simulation of working environment of a software development company. You divide the roles to the learners, and you see how they will collaborate in order to achieve a project, for example, or to solve a problem. Competitive games, my least favorite, because that puts competition not among learners as it is used, but among groups. I don't really like it because Competition is that I try to overpass my fellow learner, not exactly to learn. It's the success, the hunt of success in order to success, not to learn. And information exchange, also very basic, is what we did before. I say something that you don't know, you say something, and we exchange our knowledge. Also, informal exchange with group discussions is mostly one thing. It is not